I'm honored to have the opportunity to share this with the world first, here at Comic-Con. I grew up in a little town in Canada called Chippewa. Population was about a sixth of the number of people in this room right now. And, even though, my body was trapped in Chippewa, my mind was roaming the galaxy thanks to, Bradbury and Clark and Sturgeon and Heinlein and shows like Star Trek, yes, the first 2 seasons, and 2001: A Space Odyssey. These are the things that blew my mind when I was a kid, when I was that 14-year-old boy riding the school bus, reading a book a day, science fiction book a day. So this film really, after a hiatus of doing deep ocean exploration for 7 years, coming back to feature filmmaking, this film is really being made, or has been made, for that 14-year-old boy that's still very alive and well back in the back of my mind. And so I know I share with you that love of fantasy and science fiction and other worlds, and the idea of living outside our bodies on a great adventure. So I'm not going to waste your time. I know you're here to see stuff. I'm not going to waste your time telling you the story, because I think you're here because you know enough to be intrigued. The clips themselves, you're going to see, I think it's 24 or 25 minutes of stuff. Yeah, the clips are relatively self-explanatory, and anything beyond that, we don't want you to know until December 18th. We want you to still hold back something for the fun of the voyage. So I just want to close my remarks with 2 questions, and I want a nice, loud answer. I want 6,000 voices so we know we're not alone in the universe. How many of you have ever wanted to go to another planet? That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Second question, are you ready to go to Pandora? Yeah.
Okay, location, shack. And the days are starting to blur together. The language is a pain, but, I figure it's like field stripping a weapon. Just repetition, repetition.
Nari.
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 Tunipul stronger.
Letiri calls me scown. It means moron.
Now, I play Grace Augustine. She runs the Avatar program. She's a botanist. And this is on the distant world of Pandora, which is a world, as you can see, of wonders, of 1,000-foot-tall trees and floating mountains, incredible creatures, some beautiful and some, as you've just seen, incredibly terrifying. Grace loves Pandora with all her heart. She hopes that she can somehow protect its indigenous people, the Na'vi, from the forces of industrial Earth. And to do this, Grace and her team project their consciousness through linked technology into their avatars, which are living, breathing biological bodies which resemble the Na'vi. And in this form, she hopes to gain their trust.
Part of this movie is really creating a whole world. Do you want to talk about how you viewed that it's the foundation of a world to make a believability in a movie?
We've done everything from figure out the ecology, the composition of the atmosphere, the geography, all the different species of animals and plants, to the Na'vi people, their culture, their history, their language. Dr. Paul Frommer, who's the head of linguistics at USC, or was at the time, spent 2 years working on the language and created a little Berlitz course for all the actors and would correct them very sternly, practically with a ruler slapped to the wrist if they
Yeah,
mispronounced.
we also worked with a movement coach, Terry
Movement
Notary,
coach,
because it
yep.
was about dehumanizing ourselves. You know, in the Navi culture, it was simple things as nodding or shaking your head. That these were human behavioral patterns that we do, but the Navi had a different way of saying yes or saying no, and even that was. Required a lot of research and inventiveness. So it made it a lot of fun too.
This is a very important part of it.
Norm's attitude has improved lately.
But it's not just I'm seeing you in front of me. It's I see into you. I see.
Scooty's back on board, but he thinks I'm a scoundrel
I
too.
understand you.
What sparked the idea of you creating this awesome movie?
Honest, the super honest answer, which is a little mercenary, is that I was the CEO of Digital Domain at the time, and we were I think at that particular time, this was in the early mid '90s, we were really good at 2D composite, but we were lagging behind in 3D character development. So in the same way that I wrote Terminator just to kind of get a directing gig, I decided to write a story that was full of creatures and characters that would push the art of CG for that company. But we looked at it, when they broke it down, they said, we can't do this. What are you, out of your mind? So I literally stuck the treatment in a drawer. When I got it out 4 years ago, I thought, wow, this is more timely than ever, you know, with us being at war, with us being in a greater environmental crisis than at any point in the history of the human race. And plus, by the way, it was just a damn good read. I'd sort of completely forgotten about it enough to look at it with fresh eyes. So, you know, I went back to it and said, you know, we can do this now. You know, Peter Jackson had done the second Lord of the Rings film at that point. Gollum was looking pretty damn good. It looked like some soul and some real personality could be captured by CG. And to me, that was like the door opening on the possibility of being able to make this movie. But having said that, we had a lot of work to do in developing the performance technology to capture the work that are, you know, we have a great cast. I mean, let's face it, you've seen a little glimpse of it here. We have an awesome cast and they did great work. Our technology needed to live up to what they could do.
And speaking of what they could do, Sigourney, you know, your character, you know, her history is that of a botanist, and you sort of really embrace that to sort of define how you play the role of Grace Augustine.
Yeah, you know, I had these wonderful women teachers in high school who devoted their lives to trying to help us feel like we could do science. And one of the things that moved me most about Dr. Augustine was that Jim created this brilliant woman scientist who'd thrown everything over to study the flora and fauna of Pandora and to understand the Na'vi way of life. And I have to tell you guys that every single plant and creature and whatever has come out of this crazy person's head. And and the colors, you know, all of the work he's done underwater, you can see how much of that inspired this world. And for me, it was such a treat just to even begin studying the plant life. And I feel that it was very meaningful to me. I never did that well in science, but I was always so eager to learn it. And I feel I got a second chance for this.
Now, Zoe, someone who's not here today, but who you worked very closely with, is Sam Worthington. I think the dynamics of the relationship really comes off on the screen. Talk a little bit about that dynamics between you and Sam and working with Sam.
I think it started in the auditioning room, and Jim did something very, very fascinating and beautiful. He made it seem like fun from the moment I read the sides without even knowing the script to the moment he flew Sam from Australia to LA and myself from New York to LA, and Sam and I met. We knew we didn't have the job, but it just felt so much fun still. It was just, and we got to meet him, we read the script, and it wasn't like he sat down and allowed another camera guy to tape us as we read our lines. Like, Jim had the camera on his shoulders and while he was directing us, and the basic direction was just do whatever you got to do, and I'm just going to follow you guys. to be actors and to be told that it's like, oh, you mean I can actually play and I can go anywhere and you'll make sure you capture it is the most liberating thing. So and Sam and I did audition together. We tested together. And then we booked it. So we had this very beautiful connection since the beginning of being these little underdogs. He could have very easily given the role of Neytiri to a series of amazing actresses that had more of a notoriety than I did at the time. I mean, I'm just from Queens, for the love of God. And Sam is this little Aussie hick from Australia who's so amazingly talented and elegant, and he saw us and he really believed in us and he fought for us, and then he got us into his mind and into his world, and it's taken us, Sam and I, a long time to get out.